Hello, good morning, and this is Daniel Cervantes from Malaysia. We are listening to This Week in Asia, episode 88. Wow, today we have a couple of interesting people in the virtual studio today. We're starting off with our Mr. Producer, and fresh from his triumphant organization of Festival Singapore,
Hey,
Michael.
hi. Hey, how are you guys?
Hey, Mike.
Hey,
Hey, I saw you over on webcam over in Festival KL, and I was like, why is Mike on the TV everywhere?
right. Yeah, we did a live stream on Festival worldwide. So yeah, we're trying to, to break a world record on getting everybody on board as much as we can.
And you guys did that, correct? I mean, you
Yeah, we
guys
did.
broke your.
Yes,
What is the record?
I think all the countries, over 200 of them actually came online to stream, and it was a 24-hour stream. Started
Wow.
started from the time zone of 00 right up to 23. Yep.
Okay.
And
Okay.
yeah, so
So,
Festival this year, yeah. I think those who don't know, actually, we organize a worldwide event called Festival, and it's held every year around this time in March, and usually all the countries and the cities within the countries actually participate in coming together to for the good of humanity, basically to give and fundraise for the charities in locally or globally around the world.
and how much do you guys manage to raise in Singapore? I understand from Nikki Cheong, who's the organizer. I mean, more like the coordinator for festival in Asia. Kuala Lumpur managed to raise about 16,000 ringgit for a charity in Malaysia. And
Yeah.
what was the amount? Did you guys hit your target?
Well, we didn't really set a target, and we didn't want to make it like we kind of force people to give kind of thing. So we want to open up a kind of a very open environment where people come. There are charities there. The purpose that we're going to come together is actually to have fun and of course to fundraise, which is our main purpose, and give whatever you can. So we raise around 200 and two sorry 2634 US dollars this year. Yeah, slightly, actually it's less than last year, but I think we're quite happy in what we collected.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah.
That is there any way that the participant can still participate in festival, or is there over?
The
Is there any
festival.
online auction or something like that?
No, for in Singapore there's none. I know that Malaysia KL could be running something as well, but the fundraising is still going on until March 30th. Actually, we are also collecting for Japan as well.
Oh, and how do we do that?
There's an online page. If you go to twestival.com or on your city, Kuala Lumpur.twestival.com or Singapore.twestival.com, there will be an online donation page. You can click to it and donate online if you want.
Okay. Oh,
Yep.
and I will bring in before we bring in our guest from Japan. I would like to bring in a Singaporean who will be in KL next week.
Mm.
So,
Hi
Bennett.
everybody. Hey,
Uh,
Hey, it sounds a bit echoey. Where are you now?
I'm speaking live from Chobot's office actually.
Ooh, Josh Chopbot HQ in Singapore.
Yeah, in Mount Sophia. In this place called Old School. Yeah.
I've been there. It's a nice place to be a
Yeah.
startup.
it's up on a hill, right? Also.
Yes, Old School is up in the hill. It has a lot of design companies around and game companies as well. So it's pretty like a design uh, business place, business space basically. And in the evenings, there's actually this place called Timber, where there's a lot of people performing, and that bar is always packed. So for us, usually after work, we usually go there and have drinks, and it's pretty nice.
Oh, that's good. Is there anything that you are doing coming to Malaysia for?
Yeah, I'm coming here to give a talk, I think, regarding something about chalkboard. In this place called Publica. It's a new shopping center, as I understand it, right, Daniel?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's probably one of the things I'm doing there, and a couple of other things that I need to attend to in official capacity. So I'll be flying in and then flying back on the same day. So it's pretty.
Singapore and Malaysia, they are very near. So yeah,
Yeah,
hope I see you on Tuesday. I'll see you in person on Tuesday then,
yeah,
and probably Wednesday in Singapore.
yeah. So probably that was how it been. Yeah. Also, yeah, I've been so busy that I couldn't be following up festival. In fact, today is film camp as well. I think, as of when we are speaking now.
Yep.
Well, today is FlimCam, TEDx NUS, TEDx NTU, and
Yeah.
there's one more TEDx. There's a whole bunch of stuff going on in Singapore. So I think we'll get Julian to update us. I probably think she's heading to a lot of them today.
Yeah.
So anyway, let's bring in our guest.
Mm.
Well, Gen, how are you? Gen, you for those who are not familiar with the show, Gen is actually sorry, what's your current position in Mozilla?
Hello, everyone. This is Gan Kanai, and currently I'm the Director of Business Development for Mozilla in Asia. And I also work with our contributor engagement team. What that means is I work with all of the Mozilla, as you know, is a nonprofit, and we have a lot of volunteers, community members who work with us in various ways. And I help organize and work with our community members and volunteers all across Asia in many different areas. So that could be from community marketing to localization to bug fixing, whatever it is, various different aspects.
Okay, and well, and one of the other reasons that we are actually getting you on the show is on the fact that you are currently based. I mean, you were based in Tokyo until recently. I understand you have actually relocated to Kyoto temporarily, correct? I know.
Um,
Sorry, not Kyoto.
Yeah, Kobe. So yeah,
Kobe.
Mozilla's offices in Tokyo are in Tokyo, but after the earthquake and everything that happened, there's been, for those who've been following the news, there's been different situations emerging every day. So there were the explosions at the reactors, and then there was radiation measured, above normal levels. The most recent thing that happened at the end of this week was that there was radioactive iodine, higher than normal levels measured at the water sources near Tokyo.
Mm-hmm.
So there's been a lot of different things going on, and so I have family in Western Japan, in Kobe, and so I've temporarily moved to Kobe to stay with family and have a more stable place to work.
Oh, I understand the situation during the quake and the tsunami. Well, according to videos that were being sent out and etc. I mean, Japan is pretty used to having earthquake, correct? But what was the sentiment at the ground?
Well, Japan is very used to having earthquakes, and it's something that's sort of part of the national psyche and culture here. The building codes are very, very strict, and for the big office buildings in the major cities, they actually build them sort of like with suspension at the base, so that even when there's a big earthquake, the buildings move, but they're designed to move. And so you didn't see, even though this was the largest earthquake that had ever hit Japan, and it was the fifth largest earthquake that had ever been measured by humans, there was very little earthquake damage in the Tokyo metro area. There was some fire, and then there was just like one or two areas of fire, and then there was a bunch of parts of Tokyo that were built on top of reclaimed land that there was flooding, but it was very minor in comparison to the parts of Tokyo that were hit excuse me, the parts of Japan that were closer to the earthquake up in northern Japan, near the city of Sendai. Myself, I was at work. It was a little after 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and I think the thing that everyone mentions about this earthquake was that it was over 2 minutes long, or longer than 2 minutes, if I remember correctly. Most of the time, earthquakes here happen and they are over in 5 or 10 seconds. But this one was so long and so violent that people couldn't stand, people couldn't walk. It was a very, very, it was like nothing that anyone in Japan had ever experienced before. And Japan is the country that has the most amount of earthquakes, so we're very used to earthquakes. But even this one was off the scale, and clearly, after everyone has seen all of the ruin and disaster that has hit the northern coast, it's clear how powerful the earthquake and the tsunami really was.
Well, sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, yeah, no, that was my my personal situation. We actually didn't evacuate the office. We made sure that the evacuation route was clear. So we opened the door to the fire escape, and we got ready to evacuate. And there were a significant amount of aftershocks, but we actually didn't evacuate the office. I personally left to go take care of family. And the amazing thing about that was right after the earthquake, all the trains stopped.
Mm-hmm.
And for those of you who have visited Tokyo, you know that the trains are sort of central to life in Japan, but certainly in Tokyo. And with all the trains stopped, no one could get anywhere, and all of the buses were totally full with people. I actually commute by motorcycle, so I was able to snake my way through the traffic and get back to my house and to my family. So I felt very lucky to have a motorcycle that day. But the trains were all stopped. People often had 1 hour, 2 hour, sometimes 3 hour walks home from the office back to their houses because the trains, weren't moving that day. And all of the cars were, gridlocked. No one could get anywhere by car. All the buses were totally full. And since all the cars were gridlocked, the buses couldn't go anywhere as well. It was an amazing day for Tokyo, certainly. But I mean, the disaster, the destruction was much, much worse in northern Japan.
All right. So did you you manage to get back in time? What was your feeling then? I mean, was it scary?
It was scary, of course. The first hour while we were still at the office and trying to gather news and information, and the first thing we did was to check to make sure that all of the Mozilla employees were safe. And then we started checking on family members, etc. It was very scary. It wasn't until later that we realized how big the tsunami was and the devastation. Nobody knew, how big that tsunami was going to be, and after the tsunami hit those seaside towns, there was very little information about that. About how bad the damage was. I mean, there was some video from some of the helicopters that came on pretty quickly.
Yep.
But the extent of the damage, I think, wasn't really fully understood until days later.
It must be quite surreal to see the thing happening live on internet TV and stuff like that.
Yeah, I think that's one of the interesting things, not interesting, it's sort of morbidly interesting things about this particular disaster was that Japan does have so many closed circuit TVs and has so many cameras, everywhere. Everyone has a cell phone with a camera, and people were uploading personal videos to YouTube from all over the affected areas, and of course the news helicopters, and so there was just immediately there was just an amazing amount of information available online, and of course also on mainstream media on the TV as well. Um, uh,
How do you actually get your news? As I understand, there should be a lot of chaos and a lot of people. People are rather okay, but how do you actually find the latest information over there? The technology story in Japan is absolutely fascinating.
that's a great question. This time around, I mean, I use the internet for most of my news gathering. I mean, I would have the TV on as well, of course, um, and the TV was valuable certainly for some of the official news from the Prime Minister's office and uh, some of the news from the national broadcaster NHK. Um, I should clarify here that uh, this discussion about Japan, I'm not making this as an official Mozilla representative. This is just my
Yeah,
personal my
I think
opinion.
yeah, I mentioned that earlier that the one of the reason we want to get you on is just because you are based in Japan and uh, you among all of our friends over in the show actually
Right.
experienced it firsthand.
Exactly. So yeah, so I just want to make that clear. But most of my information I gathered from either TV or via Twitter, actually. After the quake hit, my Twitter network, which was fairly large to begin with, I had, I forget how many followers at the time, I think well over 1,000, but now I have many, many more because people started following me because I was posting and retweeting news about the quake and the aftershocks and everything. Uh, and so I think I now have probably over 3,000 followers.
Wow.
And I was also doing a lot of translation of sort of captioning some of the Japanese news and bringing that over to Twitter in English
Yeah.
and that type of thing. So I used a lot of various sources, Japanese sources, foreign sources, Japanese TV. Um, I think one of the things I really noticed was that the foreign media and the Japanese media they were sort of like looking at, it was like a cup of water, and the foreign media was looking at it as half empty,
Yeah.
and the Japanese media was looking at it as half full.
Mm-hmm.
Well, can
I
you
think,
can you describe that a bit? What do you mean by that?
well, I think the Japanese media was more conservative about their reporting and less alarmist.
So
I
it's a
saw,
bit more towards the fact and what's going on instead of the sensational headlines that you get from the foreign press corps. Is it?
yeah, I don't want to lump all of the foreign press together. Some of the foreign press, especially the foreign press who still have offices in Tokyo, they did a great job. And I would like to call out at least the New York Times, the Wall Street Journal, Guardian UK, and a few others um, who did have experienced staff in Tokyo. They were able to I think, provide a very good, balanced reporting. But the foreign media who did not have staff in Japan and who either had to rely on contractors or who had to, hastily fly someone in who didn't have experience in Japan, Those are the ones I think also who don't have any Japanese advertisers to annoy or to anger. Those are the ones who had the more sort of sensational headlines. Some of the British tabloids were pretty awful, I think.
Right.
But across, but Fox had some of the bad ones, and CNN had some really misleading headlines as well.
Yeah.
It was a very interesting time to sort of, while we were still worried about the situation, seeing the various perspectives in the media. And I guess the main thing is, for the future, we should all be uh, careful about the media we consume, and just remember that all media does have a bias,
Yeah.
and make your own uh, decisions about what to trust and what not to trust. And that was, for me, I think, the most one of the things that came out of this situation that I wasn't expecting.
Well, one of the things that actually what I did was actually follow you, follow Serkan. I think as I mentioned during the last episode, Serkan had a live tweet and Hiroku Tabuchi.
Yes,
So I
Hiroko
mean,
Tabuchi.
yeah, I've been following all of you, and because a lot of the stuff that comes out from Japan initially was all in Japanese, and so I relied a lot on your translation and etc.
Yes.
Yeah. I
And
think it
there
was
was sort of like sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I was just saying that I think that part of the things that why news could go so fast was also that we have, because we got a couple of other friends in Tokyo, like Aki, Masaru, and Hiro, and they were
And
all
Rani.
reading in a sense. So it was quite we kind of pieced together from the outside on what type of information was coming out from Japan as well, on what is happening. I think we were actually interacting at that point. I think, again, when I first saw your tweet, I think yours was the first tweet that I saw about the earthquake at that point.
Mm, yeah.
Yeah. So I guess there was a lot of live reporting in that sense. But how did the like those things, like, I mean, from outside we hear a lot of reports regarding how Facebook helped, how Google helped, how Twitter helped, even Groupon helped. What is it like as an insider in Japan? How does it feel like when those technologies where they come up with things like People Finder?
I think that People Finder was a great. I mean, Google Japan was able to get that up and running very quickly and started promoting that on their homepage soon after the quake. And I think this is, Google now has had the experience of launching People Finder after a number of major disasters. Um, and so I'm very thankful to the people at Google for their efforts there, especially the team in Tokyo. I would say the other major services that were very, very critical, certainly Facebook, especially for non-Japanese who needed to contact their family and friends outside of Japan. The phone lines were all either down or unavailable right after the quake, and so internet services were the best way to get in touch with family and friends who were not in Japan and let them know that you were safe or what your situation was. Twitter, of course, I would say was probably, at least for me, one of the most important services. And Japan is a pretty heavy Twitter user base from the beginning. And I can imagine that during these past 2 weeks, there's been a huge rush, more users to Twitter, and more people appreciating, what the Twitter platform was able to provide. I will say that there was a lot of misinformation also spread around by Twitter as well, and so again, I think the thing is to remember is that you need to evaluate all of the news that you see very carefully and make your own decision about what to believe and what not to believe. I think Facebook and Twitter were so important that due to this disaster, the Japanese government opened up their own Facebook and Twitter accounts, and a number of other Japanese organizations did the same in order to provide English-based news to users of Twitter and Facebook. So that I think that has shown the value of those networks and the importance of those networks, especially with this disaster in the need of excuse me, getting information to people outside of Japan or English speaking people in Japan.
Okay.
And then finally, I would say Ustream was also heavily used for non-mainstream media. There were a number of different people who are using Ustream to get out information. Even mainstream media was providing certain media
Live streaming.
broadcasts, exactly, live streaming over Ustream. Because they didn't have the broadcasting rights to provide that information to certain countries or certain regions, that type of thing. So,
Well, it's actually, as I said, fascinating. And also, how about the location-based services over in Japan? I understand there was news about a new location-based service. Sorry.
location-based service. I know that Ushuaidi was launched also soon after the disaster happened, a couple days after. That's also a disaster recovery platform, sort of an open source platform that has a number of location-based aspects to it. I'm not that familiar about. I think Sercon mentioned there was a location-based service called Kolopol, where people checked in after the quake, but I'm not that familiar with that service myself.
Okay, no worries. Guys, do you have any
Well,
other?
we're just hoping that Japan will recover as it is, and we're still praying and supporting Japan as much as we can. And of course,
Thank you.
Jan.
Thank you very much.
Okay. So moving on to news. Google Gmail is actually recently blocked in China, and according to Google themselves, they've been blocked by the Chinese government. So
So what's new about this? Nah, I'm just joking. I'm the one who gave the story anyway. Yeah, I think one of the things probably that happened, I think you can still access Gmail via VPN.
yeah, tunneling is good.
Tunneling is still okay, but I think what happens is that I think the actual Gmail is actually blocked in China, and they didn't know about it until quite some time, and then they decided that they realized that the Chinese government was actually blocking it.
So, but there's also this this thing going around in terms of the Chinese government denied that they have been blocking Gmail, and there is no, there's no according to Google in the Age, there's no technical issue in their side, and they have checked extensively. This is more of a government problem.
I'm just wondering why did they do that, right? Because usually when the government, Chinese government, tries to block Google from doing something, it means there's either some form of what they call organized protest is happening. Basically, that's usually the primary reason why Chinese government will shut down something. They did that shutdown during the Xinjiang riots, etc. And there's this whole thing about recently, this whole Middle East revolution thing. I think it's been spreading around a little bit, and I think as a result of that, I think that there's some usage of Gmail being do that, and maybe that's probably the reason why they block it. Not that I endorsed it, but probably there must be some reason why the block has actually happened.
Gan, do you have any thoughts on this?
My China experience is a number of years old now. So I don't, I mean, I watch China from Japan, but I don't have, I don't have a very informed opinion about China, unfortunately.
Yeah,
Well,
I kind of
go ahead.
I kind of wanted to say that, yeah, this is actually a perfect segue to another story that we wanted to talk about China regarding Baidu.
You just beat me to a segue.
Yeah, I was beat you to the segue.
Okay, fine. Never mind. Go ahead.
Okay, Lee, go ahead. Well, the first segue I possibly want to talk about is Li Kai-Fu's comments. Li Kai-Fu is the former CEO of Google, also the former
Google's China, by the way. Not
Google
Google.
China, former also former the sort of the director for Microsoft Research Center in China.
And they have this whole big deal about court case about getting Google snatching Li Kai-fu from Microsoft, and
Yeah, they put him on. They have to put him on 1 year on leave so that he can't work for anybody kind of situation. Which is very well documented in this book of Quanxi.
Uh-huh.
If anybody had really read about how Microsoft actually went and blocked Li Kai-fu from being hired by Google, but Li Kai-fu went on and started another stint, something very similar to Bill Gross's Idea Lab in the US called Innovation Works. In fact, Ming Wong, my friend who's the co-founder of Hackerspace Singapore, actually visited them recently. And it's like an entire factory, people are just innovating, building new startups. They've been betting very heavily on Android. I call it the China Android version is take out everything that is with Google search and just put in the Chinese equivalent onto it. So he made some really stark remarks on Baidu's mobile phone OS, and he claims that they actually have technical difficulties because Robin Lee was saying that Baidu is coming up with their own mobile operating system, etc. So he felt that he claims that the new Baidu OS is 45 times faster than the iPhone. But I think Li Kai-fu wanted to say that that you're using Google Android, and probably I don't think that is what you claim it is. Yeah,
Mike,
Mike. So what
Mike,
you? Yeah, he's sleeping now.
No, well, I'm busy producing the whole show. So you see, you're actually getting more live images and stuff like that going on
Yeah, but
at the same time.
seriously,
no, but sorry, go ahead.
so I sort of wanted to throw this open to the panel and sort of like get everybody's viewpoint on this. What do you think about this whole mobile OS playing out in China now? I mean, Android is going to be the mobile OS in China, except there's a modified version of mobile OS. Because
Actually,
yeah,
I
sorry.
would actually go and put something Gen put forward in the couple of few shows ago when he last appeared. That there's multiple versions of Internet Explorer even in China, and this is what we're going to see in China. This is probably what we're going to see in China. That there's going to be multiple versions of Android. There's going to be Baidu's Android. There's going to be Android's Android. There's going to be a whole bunch of branded phones operator building using their own Android version, and it'll be 2.3, 2.4, it'll be 1.6, and the phone you can use apps on some, you cannot use apps on others. This is gonna be a situation.
I would say it's a smart, and if it's not controlled properly, it's gonna go very wrong. As we know, Android OS is actually basically Linux in many sense, and you can see that they're smart because you can easily get access to like the millions of developers out there today, and even the BlackBerry is doing the same strategy where they're allowing Android applications to run on a BlackBerry Playbook. So providing the access to apps almost immediately, and that is a problem because Apple has cornered the whole app market so much that the only other choice for people to go to is actually very much Android, and trailing very badly from the third is actually Windows 7. But the problem with Linux, as we know today, is that the amount of variations that actually come out today kind of confuses the market, and then therefore dilute the whole Linux market itself, and nobody can actually really know what they can do. Although the base operating system is the same, basic operations, most of the applications will run, but there's some recompiling and remanaging some of this thing will do. Now, problem with having too many OSs is that the developers can usually, if you make it easy for a developer to develop only on one platform, aka the iPhone, people make it so much. I mean, the developers likes the platform so much that they continue to do it, and very quickly the updates comes up. But if you have so many phones, like even in Nokia's case, the different platform, the different operating system, the Qt platform, the Nokia OS platform, they become the Symbian. Developers for Nokia becomes, they need to hire more people to just do the same thing.
Yeah, but I wanted to come in and just talk about another story that happened in the same week. Not just BlackBerry allowing Android apps to run on the Playbook, but Google has actually sort of stopped releasing the sort of the 3.0, which is for tablets. Basically,
Well, yeah, Andy Rubin came out and
yeah,
Andy Rubin came out and announced that the 3.0 Honeycomb will not be released into the open source anytime soon.
Yeah.
So they will want to release, but they sort of rush it out closed source so that Motorola can launch their Zoom to compete with iPad 2.
Yeah.
Again, I mean, okay, in terms of what do you think about this going on? Is it good for the open source community?
Yeah, I mean, I think, from putting on my Mozilla hat now, I would say that, we are very happy to be able to provide Firefox on Android. And I think we would like to provide Firefox for iOS, but that's unfortunately not possible given Apple's terms and conditions. So I think the open nature of Android and Google's strategy there is something that we're much happier with. That's about. I mean, that's very simply the situation for Mozilla.
I think it's very knee-jerk that why they didn't want to release 3.0 out to the sort of the open source community. I think because they developed the OS too quickly and they didn't do enough QC, so they want to sort of get it right first before they could even release anything. Because they need to compete against the iPad 2 basically on that. But I think in the whole issue about the fragmentation of the sort of Android OS, I think one of the things is that there are actually three types of Android OS that's being shipped out, right? First is what they call the Google's sort of experience, the Google Experience Android OS, which is the Nexus 1, the Nexus S. Those are basically Google working with a handset manufacturer and then tell them exactly how they want the Android OS to be presented. Then there is a second.
Just to hold your thought, I have a Nexus S with me now.
Yeah, I just saw Google reviews review on that too. Then there is a second class of partners to Google Android, which is the sort of the handset manufacturers like the HTCs, the Motorola's, the LGs, and the Samsungs, where they take Android and then they modified it basically with their own. Like for example, HTC has their own Sense UI, etc. And then after that, the third group of people are basically the open source developers, like your Chinese bandit devices, where they just pull out the sort of down, not the most, they won't get the sort of special Android built from Google, but they just take what is have on the public domain and then they modify the operating system itself. So this fragmentation is going to be very, very wide once it goes into the Chinese market, because the fragmentation is just going to be so wide that it's going to be very difficult to build apps to be compatible with the different operating systems of Android, basically. I don't know whether is already see. I think that is going to start happening as well. And I think in Japan market, I think Android is also growing now, right? Again, if I'm not wrong.
Yeah, all of the major mobile carriers now, so NTT Docomo, KDDI, AU, and SoftBank are all now shipping Android phones, smartphones, and we're seeing more and more adoption of smartphones, and Android is clearly I mean, iPhone is very, very popular, but now just because of the volume of devices and the fact that all three carriers are now shipping Android in Japan, we're seeing just a huge adoption of Android. And that sort of device and um, the sort of trends that Bernard is predicting for China, I don't think that will happen in Japan. I think my assumption is that the Japanese companies will work very hard to try and keep their users on the newest, safest, fastest versions of Android, and there's not going to be nearly as much sort of what did Bernard call it, the diversity or all these different manufacturers providing all these different versions of Android. I think we're going to see much less of that in the Japanese market, much more homogeneity in the Japanese market.
Okay, so I guess it's good time to just take a break, and then when we return, we'll have another story about China. Just a quick one about a Chinese antivirus company allegedly involved in a mobile app scam, and well, something that I've been waiting for quite a while, Firefox 4. So see you at the break. Okay.
Okay, I'm gonna head off from here, so you can just I'll catch up with you guys later. Yeah.
Sure.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Have a
Have a
good
good
day.
day. Take care again. Okay.
All right. Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Bye.
Don't forget, we are still live.
And we're on in 3, 2, 1. Hello, welcome back to This Week in Asia episode 88, or how the Chinese would like to say 88 as in 8 as in luck, fart, you know. Dr. Bernard Leong has actually left us actually to pursue his dreams in chalkboard, but we still have Mr. Mike Fong with us, and of course our special guest Gen Kanai all the way from Kobe.
Yay.
So,
Hi.
do you guys read the news about the Chinese antivirus scam?
I haven't read the news, but I know that the antivirus market in China is very competitive and almost, maybe we can call it combative.
Yeah.
I know that QQ and 360 have been fighting each other for years now.
Right. So what's happening, Daniel?
So, according to the article in the next web, NetChing, a Chinese antivirus software company, has been accused of actually partnering with smartphone manufacturers to go insert malware in the smartphone and charging the users to clean the smartphone. But I mean, they have come out denying all this, denying this so far. So every time when it's asked to actually turn on the report to make the clean, it costs them 2 RMB or US 30 cents.
Wait, these are pre-installed in the from the manufacturer side,
Yes, allegedly.
allegedly. All right.
Yeah.
So
I mean, the antivirus and the security firm are mostly based on fear mongering, I believe. So,
did you
but
know?
do you have-
No, I mean it's totally. I mean, if it's true, then it's definitely unethical for anybody to do that, especially antivirus. But this is not new. Apparently, they've been accused. The whole antivirus industry has been accused of using hackers to create viruses to keep the whole hype out as well. Still, it's still a myth today. And whether they really do it's not been proven. Whatever. That Yep.
a very interesting fact. I mean, I was out with David Hall, one of the evangelists for
Norton.
Symantec.
Yep.
Yeah, Norton. I think we had a video with him. You have a video with him, right?
Yep. I did it.
He sent me some very interesting stats about, for example, in terms of Malaysia, there's 83% of Malaysians online experience some sort of cybercrime.
Right.
And
Yep.
that's really high. That is,
It's called a cybercrime index, right?
yes, it's called a cybercrime index, which is like a weather forecast or weather report kind of thing.
Yep.
Report. And the very funny thing, 65% is viruses and malware, 27 is online scam, and 16% is phishing. Which, if you take all of them, you add up, it's actually more than 100%. I do not know where they come up with that number yet.
Apparently, it's a daily report. Or rather, it's a real time report. Sorry. What they do is that your computers have installed Norton antivirus all over the world, they'll feed this report back to Symantec, and they'll take all this data, crunch it, and they'll see what are the malware or the antiviruses or spam they're receiving, and they report that, and they'll tell you that what is up, spam is up, or virus is up, or fraud is down, and one of those things. It'll tell you what are you vulnerable at in today, right at this point in time.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a very
Well,
interesting piece of software, though.
it's a very interesting piece of software, and also I guess we unless we have more news about the. I mean, this happened all the time. Unless there's more news coming out in terms of how NetChin is handling the situation, we'll probably report it in the next show. And well, moving on in terms of something that I'm kind of really excited, Firefox 4. So again, can you give us well, you can put on your Mozilla hat now and tell us a bit about Firefox 4. So quite good download numbers, I believe.
28
Yeah.
million now.
Yeah, we're as of this recording, I think we're getting close to 28 million downloads. We had, I think, over 7 million downloads in the first 24 hours, and something like 16 million downloads in the first 48 hours. So actually, the second day was more popular than the first day, even. Yeah, Firefox 4 launch this week was very successful. Just so much good news, good reviews from many different media all across the world. I think users are really happy. I know that us at Mozilla, we've been working really hard this past year to make a much faster, better, cleaner Firefox. So now that that's available to everyone, we're very excited to get ready for Firefox 5, 6, and 7 that we're planning for later this year. For those who want to check the downloads, we're providing a real-time download page at glow.mozilla.org. And we're also organizing different parties, or our communities all across the world are organizing parties to celebrate the launch of Firefox 4. That's at meetup.com/Firefox. We've got almost 250 parties scheduled all across the world. Almost 1,000 people signed up already.
All right.
I like the visualization of Glow. It's wow.
Yeah, I think all the code for that is open sourced. So if you want to make your own visualization, you can download that from one of our developer blogs has a blog post about that.
HTML5, I believe.
Yes, all HTML5. WebGL is one of the new technologies in Firefox 4 that I'm personally really excited about. There's just a ton of WebM support for WebM video natively in Firefox 4. There's so much good stuff in there, and we're basically going to be, instead of doing one release a year like we have been in the past, we're going to be doing 3 or 4 releases a year. Much more quickly.
So, would the release be like big releases, or just? Would it be significant releases, or people would not know? It just be updated through the background.
No, it will be a significant release, but basically our development schedule will be much shorter, and this will enable us to get new features out to users much more quickly. And I think we're taking some of the good lessons learned by the Chrome team, as well as making some adjustments for our own development situation and our own culture. And basically we want to get new versions of Firefox out faster than once a year. And so that's the new schedule that we'll be working on.
So, what's these meetups? Do they have one in Singapore and Malaysia? Okay.
I don't know about Malaysia, definitely. I think we have like 20 in Indonesia.
Wow.
Yeah, Indonesia is one of our largest markets in the world, in fact.
Yes.
I know
What's
that
the
there's
current What's the current penetration over in Indonesia?
in Indonesia, it's depending on the website you go to, but like Detik or any of the major Kompas or any of the major news sites, they are reporting something like 70% of the users are coming in on Firefox.
Wow.
So it's
Nice.
it's the highest market share in the world. Also, Philippines is very high, 50% or more on a lot of the major Philippines websites.
And actually, the other thing was kind of interesting in terms of the glow.mozilla.org site. If you actually look at the Firefox download, it's leading. It's leading by. Europe is leading, then followed by North America, then Asia, then South America, Africa, and Oceanic.
What's the website again?
Glow.mozilla.org.
That's right.
GLOW.
GLOW.
So when you first load it, you will see this map of the world, and it shows downloads being downloaded around the world. And you see, especially over in North America, there's a lot of dots appearing and disappearing. Then when you click on, there is this thing that looks like a radiant dial right at the lower left corner. You can see in terms of the breakdown based on the region.
Right.
The other website I'd like to point people to is we have what's called our Twitter party.
Yep.
And that's any tweet that has the hashtag FX4.
FX4.
Hashtag FX4 is loaded to our Twitter party page, and that's twitterparty.mozilla.org. And that has a real-time list of people tweeting all around the world, about Firefox 4, the good stuff, the bad stuff, questions, etc.
Wow.
So check that out.
That is good. Okay, so you said that you were really excited about WebGL. Can you explain a bit on to our audience what is WebGL and why should they be excited about WebGL and also Firefox 4?
Well, WebGL is just one of the new technologies that has arrived with Firefox 4, but it's taking basically 3D graphics that previously we had to do in an application or a game or that type of thing, and bringing that to the web. So if you were a game designer and you were making a 3D game previously with OpenGL technologies, you can now do a lot of that in a browser over the web with what's called WebGL. There are a number of places to learn more about WebGL. One is our Mozilla Developer Center, developer.mozilla.org. Another one that I would recommend is Planet WebGL, which is a listing of all of the major blogs that are talking about WebGL, and that's, I think, planet.webgl.org.
Mm-hmm.
But the full
I
list...
think it's planet-webgl.org.
Excuse me, planet-webgl.org. Thank you. And I would say there's so many new features in Firefox 4 that it's really hard to list them all. I would say please go to Firefox, to mozilla.org or firefox.com and take a look. Maybe you used Firefox previously and maybe you're not using Firefox anymore. I would ask you to please give us a try again. You'll see that Firefox 4 is much, much faster, as fast as any of the browsers that are out there now, a much more cleaner interface. One of the big technologies that we launched with Firefox 4 is called Firefox Sync. This syncs all of your personal preferences, bookmarks, favorites, passwords with any other copy of Firefox. So let's say you have a copy of Firefox at home, one at work, one on your Android phone. You can sync all of those together even the tabs that you have open. So you can open a tab on your home machine, go to work, load up Firefox. The tab that you opened at home is also opened on your work machine. You go out to lunch, that same tab is then opened on your phone. Um, it's a pretty, I mean, it's a technology that we've seen, in add-ons and that type of thing, but we're providing that to every single Firefox user with Firefox 4.
I love that feature actually. That actually helps so much because I have like 3 or 4 devices on me all the time.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I don't think 3 or 4 is correct. I think that's you're just trying to cover the rest of the device that you do not want to mention.
Yes, yes, we do. Unfortunately, yes, I have more devices than I need all the time. The other one that I really like was the new pin tabs.
Yes, so they're called app tabs,
Yeah.
and basically you can right click on any website and make it a permanent tab, basically. And it's not a full size tab. It becomes just a favicon size tab. But let's say you keep Gmail or Twitter or Facebook open all day long, and that's the way we use the web now. And so app tabs is a way to keep basically your favorite websites available all day long, and they'll never close until you shut down Firefox. Another new feature for those who are very visual is we have a visual way of organizing all of your tabs, and that's one of the new features in Firefox 4. And I mean, there's just so many new features. I just hope that anyone who's listening to this who maybe used to use Firefox but went away and is using a different browser, please give us a try again. We're back in business. We're fast, clean, some of the newest HTML5 technologies. I think I'm really proud of Firefox 4 and all of those who have spent a long time working on it. We're very excited to see more and more people using it.
Yeah. After downloading, I mean, the downloading itself is actually very small. It's very quick. Yeah. All I mean, it has definitely speed up a lot. It made it very lean. The browser is now very lean. It loads very quickly. It was like you said, the GL thing was wonderful. It actually creates a lot of visual tabs that you can actually look at it and switch to it very quickly. I mean, it's wonderful. And I mean, it's very new experience. I really love it.
Yeah,
At this point.
thank you. We've been working really hard on it and trying to take all the feedback from users who told us about things that they didn't like about 3.6, and I think that's being reflected in Firefox 4. And as we move forward with future versions, it's only going to get better. It's only going to get faster.
Yep.
It's only going to get. We're going to be able to incorporate people's users' feedback into future versions of Firefox much more quickly.
Nice.
So that's really important.
What yeah, what is Mozilla's goal in terms of the number of downloads? Do you have a goal that you're gonna set?
We don't have a particular goal. We're really happy to see the downloads that we've seen to date. I think 16 million downloads within 48 hours. That really blew us away. I don't think we expected that much, so we were very happy about that. Mainly, we're just really hoping that everyone who cares about the web and who cares about a good online experience downloads Firefox 4 because we think it's the fastest, safest browser, at least for our users. And we're also providing Firefox 4 on Windows XP, which is not available for, I believe, IE9.
Yeah, that is the weird one. Microsoft finally stopped supporting XP.
Yeah, and we wanted to support. We know that there's still many users out there on XP, and for us, supporting those users is very important. And so we've done the hard work to provide even hardware acceleration on Windows XP. Not quite as fast as we provided on Vista and Windows 7, but Firefox 4 does work on Windows XP.
Nice.
So that's, I think, important for all of the XP users out there.
And I guess for our listeners who are not exactly too familiar with HTML5, and they should actually check out. There's a series of demo of HTML5 by Mozilla Institute. What is the site again, Ken?
Well, we have a number of different sites. We have hacks.mozilla.org. That's our Mozilla Hacks website, where basically our evangelism team shares all the new features, all the new support for HTML5 at hacks.mozilla.org. And the demos page that you're talking about is called webofwonder.org.
Oh, yes. Yeah, that's the one.
And webofwonder.org is a pretty, I mean, of course, we've seen a lot of browser manufacturers making demo sites now. This is ours. And I think what's different from the other, some of the other folks out there who are doing demo sites is that we're providing, I think, all the code for all of our demos as well. And basically, we're really excited. We're also asking community members to submit their own demos. So if you've got a cool demo that uses, some of the new features in Firefox 4, maybe it's hardware acceleration, maybe it's orientation, maybe it's WebGL. There's so many different new features. You can submit those to us, and we can, if they're awesome, we will share them with everyone on our demo site. So
certainly I like the letterheads.
Which one?
The letterheads, the one that you take the word will jumble up and form a shadow of a head.
Yeah, the another one that's really amazing. I mean, there's so many amazing demos. The 360 video demo, where you can basically, the video is taken, and you can zoom around and basically scroll around the video in 360 degrees in real time. That's really cool. There's just a ton of stuff going on with Firefox 4. And I think the webofwonder.org site shows all of the different video, WebGL, HTML5, a lot of the new font support. All of that is showcased at webofwonder.org. So I strongly recommend you take some time there, especially if you're a web developer. You can see some of the newest technologies being used in some pretty innovative ways.
So what is it making the browser so fast right now?
It's JavaScript is one of the key things. The other thing is JavaScript is pretty much the way that a lot of these intensive websites get built.
Yep.
So making a very fast JavaScript engine is critical to being in the game. Another thing is hardware acceleration, at least on Windows and Macintosh. Being able to use the GPU to help accelerate graphics in the browser is also very critical. I think Microsoft is talking a lot about that as well. And I'm sure we'll see that from all the other browsers very soon. So hardware acceleration is also very important. Also is, everything from sort of, we're trying to do a lot of work on lowering our startup time. Mentioned the actual size of the software download. Basically looking at everything and trying to optimize everything to make the whole experience faster, lighter, but still very powerful and very standards compliant. So it's a mix of all these different aspects, I would say.
My
Did we lose Mike?
I don't think so.
Sorry, yeah, I just got I pressed mute and I was talking to myself.
Yeah,
And I was so impressed with the thing I just forgot that I pressed mute. I was just looking through the live side. You can see the demo as Gen was talking. I was doing the demo of the
okay.
of the browser on the live side, so you can see how it happens, how it works. It's fantastic. Seriously, I'm being blown away right now. Cool.
Nice.
Yep.
Well, well, with that, is there anything else you want to add on, Ken?
No, just thank you all. For those of you who have downloaded Firefox 4, thank you so much for supporting Mozilla. And for those of you who are planning to attend one of our 200 parties around the world, please go to Firefox. Yeah, please come party with us. And we'll see lots more better more stuff coming from Mozilla later this year. Next week, we'll be launching the mobile version of Firefox 4 for Android and MIMO. So please, for those of you who have Android or a Nokia N900,
Oh, I do.
yeah, please watch for the launch next week.
Oh, we'll do. Definitely. I'm definitely excited for that. All
And you'll
right.
have the same technology that's in Firefox 4 on your mobile phone.
Nice. This will make it so much more useful now.
Okay.
Okay.
So let's wrap up. And again, when will you be moving back to Tokyo anyway?
Probably very soon. Not sure exactly when, but just watching the news, and I'll be back in Tokyo very soon, I think.
All right. I understand a lot of our friends are still in Tokyo, or Johnny Lee is traveling around, I guess.
That's correct.
So where can our listeners get a hold of you, or actually, if they have any questions to ask about Firefox 4?
My blog is blog.mozilla.com/gen, GEN, or I'm twitter.com/GEN or @GEN. You can reach me at any of those places.
Well, or we discovered today you can get him at Gen Kanai, but he doesn't exactly check that account.
Yeah, no, that's a dead account. So
Right. Okay.
Yeah. And Mike, Festival is over. What are you going to be working on?
I'm actually doing Pachacha on
Ah.
April the 22nd in Singapore.
Pachacha.
Yes.
Hey, I met the founders actually recently.
Oh, you did. You met.
Yeah.
Cool. Cool.
The architects.
Yep.
Yeah.
Katie.
Yeah, they're good. They're good friends of mine.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So I just took over in Singapore for the last 2 years because the last time they did it was 2 years ago, and I thought I'll just revive Pachacha down here in Singapore.
Cool.
Yep.
It's been very successful all across the world.
Oh, the biggest one was like in Albert Hall, London. It was incredible.
Really?
Wow.
Yeah, they have a picture of it.
I will look for it. But do you know how big is it? Oh.
I don't know. They filled up Albert Hall all the way to the
Okay.
top. Yep.
Okay. Well, then you can also find Mike Fong at MikeFong.
.com and everywhere else with the name Mike Fong.
I don't know. No. Do you have an About Me page or not?
Soon, yeah, I do. About.me/Mike Fong. So anywhere. Mike Fong is anywhere. Gmail, Hotmail, Yahoo, whatever. It'll be Mike Fong, and that would be me.
Sorry. RRC, ICQ.
Yep. Well, ICQ is a number. You can't get a name yet. Flickr, Instagram.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
everywhere.
So Everywhere Mike Phone then.
Yep, that's right.
Hey, by the way, please get the domain everywheremikephone.com.
Everywhere at microphone.com. At as in AT. Okay. Yeah, I got microphone.com. So that's me.
I know. And you can actually get me at Cervantes.com. Oh, sorry, I was just going to say mikephone.com. And so about me slash Cervantes. Yeah, and I guess recently I'm gonna test drive a Nexus S and gonna bring it around for stress tests.
Yes, we'll ask you the next show on how that one goes.
No, you can actually ask me now. I mean, I've
Oh,
been
you do?
using it. Yeah, I've been using it close to a week. And I was a Nexus One user anyway.
How do you like it?
I I like it so far. The screen is better. I can actually see under the sun, which is a good thing. The Nexus One is horrible for that. When you bring it outside, you can't see anything at all,
It's-
and the battery life seems to be longer. But the Nexus S feels a bit plasticky. So that's my first impression.
Okay. But otherwise, I heard it's quite a quick and fast phone as well.
Yeah, it's a quick and fast one. For some reason, Gingerbread sort of screwed up Nexus One for a lot of people. Well, we will talk more about it the next show. And so, for those who are listening to the show and you like the show, do go on iTunes and just give a comment and good, bad, whatever. We just like your feedbacks. Also, you can email us at info@thisweekinasia.net. Check out our website at thisweekinasia.net for any updates and whatsoever. And hope to see you next week in episode 89.
See you
See you
then.
guys.
Bye bye.
Thank you very much.
All right. Thanks,
All
Ken.
Thanks.
Bye bye.
Bye.